welcome back to my channel. It's me, Suzy, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a bit different from what you are used to on my channel. It's going to be a story time. Pretty exciting.
To be honest, this is actually the second time I'm filming this video because the first video got lost. How did it happen? I lost my hard drive and every single piece of information on it. So if you want to know a lot more about that, go check out my previous video. I do explain most of it in there. Let's continue with this video because it's going to be long. And please, 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 you will want to stay until the end because I assure you it is worth it.
This whole video is going to be about a time period between 2008 until 2012. I wrote a testimony about my life a few years ago when I changed my life for the better, and I just decided why not make it into a video so that I can just reach more people with it. So the story begins where I was in middle school and I was a very shy girl. I was a nerd. I had these nerdy glasses, short hair, not the prettiest duck in the pack, as ducks come in packs. I'm not really sure, but you get what I'm saying. I was the little ugly duckling. I was never in the in group, but I felt pretty darn awesome when I was nominated top of my grade in the top 10 academically. So I felt pretty cool. But this is kind of where all that ended. It was in 2008 when I was grade 7. I went on to high school, and in high school everything was different. There was new experiences, the new teachers, new people. Where I was in grade 7 and I was the top of the school because I am the senior, I was the junior again. And it was pretty harsh. At least I had some of my old friends there, and that kind of made me feel a little bit better. But I was still very unpopular in my friend group. Shortly after the first term, I got invited to a party. I really wanted to go to that party, but my parents were very strict. So my mom said, okay, it's fine, I can go to this party if she gets to speak with the parents first. She has to meet the parents, she has to talk to the parents, she has to know to what house am I going, because this was my first party that I went to and it was a sleepover as well. So the word sleepover just made it so much more complicated. I begged my mom, I told her this is going to make or break my school year, because if I do not attend the first party of the school, this is going to make me seem like such a bigger loser than I already was. So finally mom said, okay, it's cool. She met the parents, she said I can go, it's fine. She drops me off at the gate and gives me a whole preach about boys and alcohol and cigarettes and whole drama class. I was just like, yeah mom, don't worry, I won't disappoint you, and I left. I said goodbye and I went into the party. The later it got, the more people came, and me being the good girl that I am, I just ignored the cigarettes and the alcohol passing by because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, so I'm okay, I'm cool, I'm a good girl. Trying to look bad, but deep inside I'm a little good girl and I don't want to disappoint mama. So this guy comes up to me, the host of the party, and he offers me a cigarette. I'm like, no thank you, very kind, but I do not smoke. I don't want it, it's fine, thank you. He's like, oh come on, just one pull, it's not gonna do anything, you're not gonna get addicted to it, it's not drugs. And in my household, although my parents smoked, if I would have smoked, they would have been really disappointed. That is like the biggest sin ever. Drinking and smoking didn't do any of that. But I just decided, hey, well, who's gonna find out? No one is gonna find out, and it's not like I'm gonna get addicted to this. So I took a pull and I almost died coughing because it was freaking horrible on my clean lungs. But I did it, and everyone was like,
what? Did you just see? Suenelle was smoking. Suenelle is drinking.
And that was the first time that I took a sip of alcohol. I didn't drink much. I just took sips, you know, just to look cool, like out of the bottle, but I'm more spitting it inside of the bottle than back, you know, Coyote Ugly style. So after that night, we slept over. It was really great. I had a bit of a hangover. I don't think it was from the alcohol. I just think it was from all the smoking fumes and everything together and the late nights. And it was grade 8. I was 13 at the time, so this was hardcore stuff. I felt pretty guilty about everything, and I didn't face my mom. But I went home, everything was fine. She didn't suspect much. I told her pretty much everything that happened. I just cut out the parts where we were drinking out of bottles and where we were smoking. But I put in the good parts. I told her about the party and I told her how much fun I had, and we had a braai and there was a lot of meat and this guy was climbing into the fire and you know. And obviously she was like,
well, were they drinking? And
I'm like, yeah,
they were, but I weren't. I wasn't drinking at all. I'm a good girl, mommy. I'm a good girl.
That was basically the beginning of my bad trial in my life, because after that I just felt so cool to be seen. I just started doing more bad stuff, like smoking. I never actually drank. I didn't like alcohol that much, but definitely smoking, because you know, I felt so cool sitting there with a cigarette, you know, checking out people. Me and my friends, we went to the malls. We were like, the malls were our second home. We were there permanently. My mom didn't let me out that much, but it was fine, because then I go visit my friend and she's like, let's go to the mall. And her house was literally walking distance from where the mall was. So we went there. We spent literally most of our weekends there. After school, on weekends we went there. We climbed up on the roofs, and if you know me and you know the specific mall I'm talking about, you'd know you have access to the roof, but in a very weird way. You have to climb over a few barriers and up a few stairs and over a few railings, but eventually you got there, and on those roofs of the mall, literally it's like on the roof, there was a lot of inappropriate stuff happening. That was the teen hangout. All the teens you knew, they went there. That was just the place where there was no supervision, no adults, no security guards, and just we could have done what we wanted to. There was a lot of people doing drugs there. They were smoking, they were drinking. Me personally, like I said, I only stick to cigarettes, normal cigarettes that time. Since everyone noticed me and I started to hang out with popular people, I wasn't the popular girl. Technically in high school I was never the popular girl. We hanged out with a few grade 12s. I was grade 8 that time, so when you hang out with grade 12s, you are pretty close to being really popular. And obviously grade 12s are much more better influence than us newbies, but hey, we just like the attention, and us girls hanging with all these grade 12 boys, lovely. I started skipping classes with them, and it got so bad that I started to skip school. My mom would drop me off at the school gate and I would walk in. I would check if the coast is clear. When she's gone around the corner, drove off to work, I would go straight to our secret hideout, which at that time was the tunnels. Now, if you know the specific school I'm talking about, you would know exactly what the tunnels are. It is underground sewage tunnels, big enough that a large group can walk inside and hang around. So that was our secret hideout place. And in these tunnels, there was graffiti on the walls, there were chairs inside, music and whatever. Like, people just made that place a really cool hangout for bad teens that skipped school, and I was one of those teens. Though many people warned us about the tunnels being haunted and there was witchcraft activity happening there, didn't believe it much, but we did find a few bones, candles, markings. We even found blood once. I did not physically see blood, but I walked in with clean white socks, and I came out at the end of the tunnel with red pinkish socks. So I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, but you know, I'm just saying. We also did find a cat, a dead cat. Again, I'm not saying it is and I'm not saying it isn't. I don't know if the cat was slaughtered. I don't know if the cat just died. I didn't check it because it was lying dead in sewage water. I was far away from it as I could possibly get. But it didn't bother me that much because I thought, okay, it's only gonna be this once. It's not gonna be more than that. I was so wrong because it was a lot more than just once. We would sit there for literally the whole day. We were skipping school. We weren't even skipping classes anymore. This was now the middle of grade 9. Lunchtimes we would walk to the end of the tunnels and go to the nearest garage or shopping center. We would go get some pies and cold drinks and cigarettes. Not that anyone bothered asking why students in school uniform would be buying cigarettes at that time of morning. And they were underaged. I bought my first pack of cigarettes when I was 13, so enough said. It went on for quite some time. This all started when I was in grade 8 and it ended when I was in grade 9, but I will get to that part later. I started getting real rebellious. I started going out a lot, not to clubs. I was underage and I would have never gotten in. I would have never taken that chance anyway. I would go to house parties of friends who were much older than me. Started drinking at parties, and even so much that I was not at my senses at a time I had to be. Things happened which I did not consent to and which I had a lot of regrets, but this is not that type of story today. But the point is, I just started throwing my life away and not caring about anything. There was so many episodes where the police chased us because people we were partying with was drunk driving, and I thought this was so fun and games and everything. It's that adrenaline rush. Little did I know if we were actually caught, I would have been locked up as well because I'm a minor and I was drunk or underage drinking, you know, all that stuff. I never thought about the consequences, but who thinks about the consequences when you're 14? I started to get really into these demonic games. But pretty much it's the same thing as a Ouija board and the games Charlie Charlie with the pencil and stuff. Using other materials instead of pencils, we used matches, and you know, it's basically the same thing. So I started playing that games. Firstly, I was not really into it, and when people played it, I was present in the room looking, and I never played it myself. And then this one night at this party, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna play with. I felt really strange things happening, and I really thought that I was pretending, or I felt things that was not really there. But today I know that those things were there. Things just got worse at school as well. I started lying so much to my mom about tests, about school, about classes. I would wait until everyone was gone and I would come out of my hole like a gerbil. I would go to my mom and she would be the only car left in the parking lot waiting for me for almost an hour, and she would be very worried, asking me why I was so late. My excuse every time would be I didn't understand the class and I had to stay for extra classes, and she was very proud because her daughter is doing extra classes and she's gonna be so well in her exams this year and whatever. That was not the case, but she believed me and I was fine. I hated lying to her. It's the worst thing ever. But you know, I started lying, and I had to lie to her to cover the first lie, and then I had to cover the first two lies, and then just lie upon lie upon lie upon lie, and it never stopped. My mom, the caring mom that she is, always asked me so many questions like, how was my day? How is the tests? When is your exams? I just keep saying, everything is fine, don't worry, don't stress about it. Tests is in a few weeks, they will let us know, you know, lies, 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 lies. I learned how to lie in great detail. I was an expert liar. Not that I am proud of it. I was so used to lying, and I could have lied with open eyes without even feeling guilty about it. I felt guilty about what I was doing, but I didn't feel guilty because I was lying about it. I lied so much, I started believing my own lies. But along with all that lies came a very bad depression and feeling of guilt. And when I came home from school, I would undress myself, get out of my school clothes, put on something else, jump straight into my bed, the covers over my head, listen to dark emo music. I would lock my door so that no one can come in. I would switch off all my lights so I can be in the darkness, and I would just sit there and be emo, literally. The more guilt I felt, the more I smoked. The more I smoked, the more guilt I felt. It was this horrible cycle that just went on and on and on. I couldn't stop it. Well, I could, I didn't want to be honest. If there was such a thing that you could have smoked your guilt away, I would have been the person to do that. I would steal my mom's cigarettes, and I would just sit at the back of my room, and I would being all chill and everything, minding my own business. My mom never suspected a thing. In fact, she thought that the maid was stealing the cigarettes. My stepdad, on the other hand, he knew from the start. He told my mom,
listen, she is smoking, I know it.
I did the mistake of stealing his cigarettes once, and that was the biggest mistake I made because he freaking counts his cigarettes. What? I stole his cigarettes once. Once too much, apparently. My mom just kept telling him,
my daughter, no, she would never do that. Never, never, ever do that.
Thank you, Mom, for believing in me. Although I disappointed you. I met this guy, and he was my first love. I had a few other flings, you can say, in middle school, but it was nothing serious. How could I call it? Puppy love.
And they called it puppy love.
So me and this guy, we get pretty serious, and he was a huge metalhead, and he actually introduced me to metal, which is not a bad thing because I still listen to metal today. But as much as I liked this guy, he had one little flaw. He did drugs. He smoked marijuana. And I never smoked marijuana before. I knew what it was, I just never smoked it. And this guy did. But hey, I liked him so much, I didn't really care what he would do. He could have been the biggest drug dealer and druggie on earth. I wouldn't really have cared because it was the first guy that actually was interested in me in high school, and he was grade 12, so, you know, a few years older than me. I felt really up here because the older guy was falling in love with me. We weren't together for a long time. I think it was 6 months. I never smoked weed when I was with him. I only started smoking when we broke up. So when we broke up, I had an excuse for my mother to leave me alone. I could have locked myself in my room, and I could have cried, and I could have smoked my cigarettes and all that stuff. I didn't smoke weed at the house ever because I didn't know where to buy my own weed, so I only got mine from friends. Basically, I was just a social smoker. But when I got the chance, I did it. And when I had with me, I would have done it. So I just got even more and more and more depressed, and everything was just really tumbling down for me. I was full of anxiety, I was full of depression, I had mood swings like crazy. I just wanted to die. It got so bad that I actually tried to commit suicide 3 times. I started cutting myself. At first it was only for play, seeing how I could do it, if I could really do it. And later on, when I started getting into it, it got addictive. Cutting myself was the only way I could have escaped true emotional pain. Today I bear the scars of it. I have real regrets about that. But you know what? I can tell a story today, and I can say that I am a fighter. I overcame that eventually, but at that time it was the only thing that made sense for me. I really got some disturbing ideas and I started doing voodoo. I was just in so much pain that I felt like I want to cause everyone around me as much pain that I am in. So I had a little shelf with a few candles on it, and I had a few teddy bears. And every time I would get hurt by a guy or a friend or whomever, a teacher would make me mad, I would go home and remembering that person angering me, and I would go home, I would go light all my candles, and I would start poking needles in them and drawing with marker where I would stab them and where they would hurt, all that stuff, real cuckoo stuff. Not that I had any idea what I was doing, but I could have still made a pretty big impact on someone's life. I believe that I did ruin some people's lives because I opened doors and things happened even though I didn't know what I was doing. But I think it is actually because of that I opened the doors and that I did ruin some people's life. I did ask for forgiveness, so don't at me here. I forgave them, I forgave myself, because forgiving yourself is a very important step to forgiving other people. You cannot forgive other people if you have never forgiven yourself. Okay, away from all the emo stuff and back to school. This one lunchtime, we were not skipping school that day, which is weird because we were always doing that. But that specific day, we actually were in classes. I can't remember why. I don't remember if there was something happening that we had to attend, but we were in class that day. Lunchtime, my friends told me like, yeah, let's go for a quick smoke, and I had this uneasy feeling the whole time, and I was like, no,
I'm cool. You guys can go. I'll be here.
And they're like, no, come on, just quick, just a quickie. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll come with. But I kept having this uneasy feeling. You know that gut feeling when that little voice in your head says, don't do it. And you're like,
okay, I'm listening to you.
And then I'm like,
okay, I'm not listening to you.
It's pretty much that. It's like the little Jesus angel is sitting on your shoulder and then the little devil is sitting on the other shoulder. Which one are you gonna listen to? Apparently I'd listened to the devil, which was a big mistake. We went into the workers' bathrooms, which we never went to. We were about 8 students, and the place we went in was super tiny. It was a bathroom. There was a shower, a sink, and a toilet. 3 of us were standing in the shower, the other 3 gathered on the toilet, and then a few of us were standing like sardines in this little tiny cramped bathroom. So everyone is lighting their cigarette and having a smoke. Me, on the other hand, I did not smoke that day. Like I said, I had this uneasy feeling and I was just not even in the mood. I wasn't even in the mood to be with these people, but I just went with because they asked me and I didn't want to seem uncool by saying no. So we stand there and we chill, minding our own business, and just suddenly this waft of water comes flying through the window. Automatically, I know,
oh crap, we're done for. This is happening. it's over.
And it was. What happened is the head boy of the school and a few LRCs caught us there because someone ratted us out. They knocked on the door and we were just like very, very quiet, like pretending we're not there. So we were dead silent. He knocks on the door again, like pounding it, wanting to break it down and saying, I know you're in there, like get out. And okay, we came out and he asks us a lot of questions like, why are you here? What are you doing? And some of my friends try talking him over like, oh come on man, it's not that bad, just let us go this time. And he gets even more mad about it and we do the walk of shame. Now if you don't know what the walk of shame is, in high school it is when you did something wrong and you're on your way to the principal's office and everyone sees you. It was break time, so everyone was in the corridors, in the square, everywhere. No one did not see us. It was super embarrassing. The head boy walking in front, all 8 of us in a straight line walking behind him, and a few LRCs on the sides and at the back. People were checking us out and like, oh, look at that. You know how teens can be. And some of them were like, oh, je vamos. I knew, today I am going to die. We get there at the principal's office and I cannot remember much that happened, but I remember this one thing is that we had to go in his office one by one and we had to draw a map. And the map was supposed to be where everyone was standing and where the bathroom was. And if your story did not correspond with the previous story of the previous person that was in that office, then you are the guilty one because then it shows you're lying. So I could have been telling the truth and everyone else in that group could have been lying and he would not have believed me because my story was different. That did not happen, but I'm just saying, it could have happened. So he asks me, did I smoke? I said no, I really didn't. And he searches me and smells my breath and my fingers and he's like, you really didn't smoke because you don't smell like smoke. And I'm like, no, I really didn't smoke. I was super honest from the get-go. I just knew this is no time for lying anymore. Your time for lying is now done, my girl. It's over. You're gonna have to turn a new page in that lying book of yours. So he says, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna take any drastic decisions. You're actually innocent. Although you were with the group, I can't really do anything to you because you're innocent. So he was actually cool like that. But then he searches the rest of the group and this one girl was in possession of weed. And that is where all the shit hits the fan and he is so livid. He just decides, no wait, everyone is going to get suspended. That day, I walk to the car late again. Now I knew I had to tell the truth, why I was late. So I get in the car, I say to my mom, I'm sorry I'm late. And it's just like she knew. She asked me, why are you late? What's wrong? What happened? Maybe she could have seen it in my face because I don't really have the poker face when something is wrong. I just burst out telling her everything. I told her that we skipped class and we got caught smoking. There's a hearing tomorrow morning and she has to be there. And she is mad like I've never seen before. 5 minutes and she cools down a bit and she tells me,
you know what, honey, it's not that bad because I as well have skipped class a few times and I smoke as well. Not that smoking is good, but we will sort it out. Don't you worry about a thing.
What she was mad about most is that she only knew about this now and that school did not inform her on previous times. Little did she know that they did. I just signed the forms because luckily she has a very easy signature to duplicate. So I just frauded the forms and gave it back to the school like she signed it. Like I said, she was mad, but more that the school didn't inform her. But she also didn't know is that I didn't just skip school once or twice. I did it for 6 months from the beginning of the year, and this was all happening in June now. So 2010, the whole year until June, I have not been in class for more than a week straight. But I couldn't tell her that. I just wish that it would never come up at the hearing, so that it would never be spoken of. And I just couldn't lie anymore. So I couldn't tell her the truth and I couldn't lie, so I just said nothing. With no sleep that night, 8 o'clock the next morning, we were in the principal's office. Me, my mom and my stepdad, as well as all the other 8 students and their parents. The disappointment in my mom's eyes were unbelievable. It just broke me. How do you explain to your mom that you have been faking her signatures on tests, on failing exams, on detention letters that she never saw in her life? She thought that I was this perfect little angel girl with no record, everything but straight A's, like I was in grade 7. Because she never saw my tests. Because I never gave her my tests. I signed it myself and gave it to the school as if she signed it. No one noticed, so I never stopped doing that, because why would I stop if no one noticed? When they came to my attendance register, my mom was so shocked. She couldn't believe that my attendance was literally 7 days in a total of 6 months. Some of the teachers didn't even know I existed, because if I didn't like your class, I do not go to your class. My mom was so disappointed. She was so shocked, to be honest. She even asked the principal,
Do you have the right kid?
She asked the principal if you have the right kid here, because this does not sound like my daughter. And unfortunately, it was. At home, my mom's tears never stops. When she stops crying, she starts screaming. When she stops screaming, she starts crying again. She is so mad. She takes away my phone. She takes away my computer. She grounds me. I am not allowed to talk to any friends. I'm not allowed to see any friends. For days, we don't speak. My worst punishment that I cannot handle is the silent treatment. I cannot handle that. It is the worst punishment ever, especially when your mom gives it to you. You know, I can take a beating. I can take a beating on the bum with a belt. I can take a beating in the face with a fist. You know, I can handle everything, but I cannot handle the silent treatment. At that moment, I couldn't actually care less. As long as I had my fix, I was fine, I was cool. She stayed out of my way and I stayed out of hers. And I was in my room permanently anyway and listening to my music. So I was in my happy place. Happy place. A few days later, she leaves a letter on my bed, and the letter reads, she's sorry, she's mad, but not mad about what I'd done, mad about me lying about it. And the whole letter goes about how she is sorry and how she thinks it's her fault and how she failed me as a mom. And that was the saddest thing that she said to me, because no, mom, you did not fail me. I was the one who failed you. I was the one doing wrong. And then she thinks it's because of her. And it's not. After that, she comes to my room again and she comes with a solution. She tells me that we can stop smoking together. She would take the money that she spends on cigarettes every month and she would put me in school that is better. I agree, because immediately I think, yes, a new page, new beginnings, new friends, and I agree 100%. We stop smoking, we go through the cravings, but with the cravings, the reality hit me that I am going to have to leave my old friends behind. And that was really a hard pill for me to swallow. Although I knew they weren't my real friends, they were the only people I actually felt real with. My life could have just as well ended there. I did not want to leave anyone behind. My mom just refused me to see them unless I started improving my attitude and my grades. So I started working really hard in school. I did my homeschooling at a center, started improving my grades. I went from a fail to a B, and I went from a B to an A. I was really doing well. So my mom told me that I can see my old friends again, under the condition they come visit us and I not go to them. Which I agreed totally, because I was just so glad I could have seen my friends again. I was too happy I couldn't decline that offer. So a few of them came to visit me, and all they could talk about was the latest parties, latest drinking sessions. They spoke about what boyfriend they've slept with next and what parties were the hottest last week. And I couldn't relate to any of that, because all I could talk about is how well I did on my last test, how I got a 90% average on my last exam, and they were just not interested in my soppy school stories. No one really cared about me doing good in school or my life. All of this happened in 2010. I started going to church, working on myself as a good person. I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to be a helper of God. In 2012, I was nominated head girl of the school, and I also received a reward for best personality traits, which included having Christian characteristics. So I got baptized and I just lived my life to the fullest. It wasn't always that easy. I wanted to have all these godly characteristics. I had a few problems along the way. A few years ago, like I told you, I was mixed up with the demonic games and the demonic spirits and the voodoo and everything. I opened doors and I let in some evil things that were not supposed to be there. Suddenly, when I decided I was going to change my life for the better, it just started like creeping up and things started falling apart. I get these dreams, I get these haunted visions, and I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm starting to freak myself out a little bit. Anyway, so these things were here following me around everywhere, in my mind, in my conscience, and I couldn't fully get rid of them.
What I'm about to tell you now is truly what happened. None of this I am telling is over-exaggerating. This is exactly what happened to me, and this is why I'm telling you this, because who knows, maybe I can reach out to someone which this has happened to before. Some of you might think like, oh,
she's cuckoo,
but I'm just explaining my part of the story to you and my experience about certain things. It's not to say you have the same experiences or encounters with certain things. I'm just here to explain what happened to me personally.
That little disclaimer before we carry on to this freaking scary part. This one night, I'm in bed sleeping, having bad dreams like usual, but this dream was very bad. I had this buck head on my wall, a mounted skull of a buck on my wall. I'm not sure what buck this is, I can't remember the name, but I will show you a picture of what it looked like. When I look back at it now, I didn't think of it that time, but it reminded me a lot of the satanic ram's head. I don't know why I picked that decoration to hang on my wall, but it was there for a long time and it never bothered me. I mean, our whole house was filled with masks and buck heads, stuffed animals and all that stuff, because my mom worked at a hunting company where she got a lot of this stuff for free. So our whole house was decorated with all these animals and stuff. Very nice. But this specific buck was in my room above my bed, and I was lying in my bed and I looked that way. It was on that wall, and I sleep a certain way. I could be staring at it for the whole night and we were facing each other basically. So I'm sleeping and I start dreaming this dream, and in the dream I'm running and I can hear the grass rustling underneath my feet and I can feel the wind on my face. It's a very vivid dream. Suddenly I get this urge to turn around and to look at what is chasing me, because something was chasing me through these fields, and I see this horrible monster, skull face thing and blood dripping from its eyes and mouth, and this thing is chasing me like it's going to kill me. And I remember waking up and the skull that was on my wall of this certain animal was lying next to me on the bed. And I remember it being full of blood, and it had blood coming out of his eyes, pretty much exactly like the dream I just had. And I remember how scary it was. I remember how I freaked out, because what the hell, this thing is right next to me, and it's full of blood. And it was literally split seconds that I saw this picture, and then suddenly it was gone again. I was dreaming in a dream, but I don't know if I was actually dreaming or not. I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. I went to go tell my mom, I want this thing out of my room now. I couldn't stand the look of it anymore. I was so scared. My mom came in my room. We took this thing outside. If I could remember correctly, I think we crushed it with a rock. My mind went total blank after that night. I can't remember what we did with it. I just know we got rid of it immediately. My mom came to my room. She did this thing. You take oil and you rub it on your hands and you pray for a person. You take the oil and I think the word is anoint them. You anoint them. You rub the oil on their feet or on their shoulders or on their head to purify, to clean the mind. It's like a symbol. The oil is just a symbol. But she anointed me like everywhere, like moisturizing my skin in this oil, praying for me 3 o'clock in the morning. She took her hands, she pressed it on my windowsills, she prayed for my room to be pure, to be clean, and I can just remember feeling this heavy, extreme death feeling just lifting off of my shoulders. And I actually that is so weird. I am not over exaggerating now. I just felt that right now. The whole time when I explained the dream, I had this weird feeling around me. And when I talked about how it was gone, I literally felt that same feeling, like it was extracted from me. Ooh, I'm freaking myself out. So after that, I was dedicated. I am clean now. I gave my heart to Jesus fully. I got baptized. Everything was just amazing. I went to church every day. I joined outreaches. I went to feed people that were hungry. We went to feed animals that were hungry. We were just servants of God, and I loved it. I loved being a servant of God. I converted my whole life into being from this rebellious person to this child of God. And then when everything in my life seemed to be perfect, everything in my mom's life started tumbling down. That is story time for another day, which will be in part 2. So thank you so much for watching this very, very long story time. If you made it until the end, thank you. I appreciate it so much, and please like my video and subscribe. Also, while you're there, hit the notification bell so that you can get a notification when I upload my part 2. Please tell me also if you want me to expand on certain areas in the story time. I will do a separate video on that, so please let me know in the comments what you would like to hear next. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you in my next video.